Have an awakening spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, and I'm your host. And I am here with Hope Fitzgerald today. And Hope is a visionary speaker and author as she shares insights on the infinity wave, a powerful 10th dimensional energetic tool revealed to her through life altering visions in 2010. Discover how the infinity wave can swiftly and effortlessly transform suffering into freedom, especially in today's challenging times. Hope has dedicated her life to developing individuals, communities, and the earth to become beacons of wisdom and inspiration. With numerous appearances on global internet and radio shows, Hope continues her mission of encouraging planetary awakening. As an intuitive, spiritual healer, dowser, and leader of international trips, Hope brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to her audience. Dive into Hope's new book, The Infinity Wave, an illuminating account of the infinity wave's arrival and a practical guide for personal and collective growth. Don't miss the chance to have Hope as a guest on your podcast or speaking event and let transformative waves of wisdom and inspiration flow. Welcome, Hope.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Well, it's so good to have you on the show because we are in a new year and there's a lot of predictions going on for this year as far as lots and lots of changes. And I've got a couple of other people that have got things going on. But I would like the audience to get to know a little bit about your journey of becoming an awakening spirit, and then we will deep dive into the infinity wave.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how far back do you want me to go?
You can go back when was probably the moment when you felt like your awakening started?
Okay, so I was very fortunate that I had a mom who was very open minded. So, she introduced me to things like TM when I was in high school. And so I learned to meditate. And that took me down many rabbit holes. Eventually, I got to a beautiful, incredible community in northern Scotland called Findhorn. And I was 21 by that time. And I would say that that was the first time. I always say my cork popped out of my head. It was quite an experience. And after that, I just kept studying different religions and philosophies and looking for the commonalities, healing and all kinds of things, color therapy, sound therapy, just you name it. I was curious about it and I'd go there, especially very curious about where science and spirituality meet. And so, fast forward, I was running some sound meditations. I have a whole bunch of crystal bowls. And so I would play a bowl and we would just silently listen to the bowl and have these meditations for 5 years. And it tuned me up, I think. And then I was just used to being in that vibration. I really encourage people to try that. Um, and I was doing all the other things and meditating and all that stuff. But I had a I had a yearning to move from believing to knowing, and those are my words for it. Um, it was, and it's not knowing like a know-it-all. It's that deep gnosis. And I had tons of books on my shelves, of all different kinds of things. I had done a lot of work with death, NDEs, and all that kind of thing. It was like since I was in high school, I was interested in the topic. Anyway, in 2010, I had a very, very challenging, painful, traumatic year. With it was a family thing that happened, and uh, by September, I was on low ebb. I knew physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it was like I was at one, you know, and and that's when things can happen. So I decided to go out to the Pacific Northwest to back-to-back sound healing workshops with my wonderful teacher, and I went in with the intention to just scrub all the story away. And so practice after practice, I was in there scrubbing and scrubbing, and usually asking a question and then getting it answered. And it was absolutely incredible. I got to the last day and I felt like I had learned so much, understood so much more, cleaned out so much, but that I still had one niggling question. And so in the last practice, I asked the question, and the question was answered in the practice so eloquently, so beautifully, and not at all what I expected. And I was so grateful for the understanding of the lesson that it was really pointing to, that in my mind's eye, I went prostrate on the floor, and out of my being sprang the words, "I am a willing vessel, do with me what you will." Now, I was not in the habit of saying that. And it wasn't from my mind. So, and I was just sitting there quietly on the bench, but it was profound. And so I was delightfully empty for about 3 days. I went home. I didn't have any connection to story. Nothing triggered me. It was amazing, so free. And then I was walking across my living room. My girlfriend was visiting, and she had come to find out about my retreat. And as I was walking across the living room, I stopped in my tracks because in front of me was this giant wave of water. It was massive. It was beautiful. It was turquoise, and it was moving very, very slowly, but it was gigantic. And there seemed to be, I became aware of a little byline that was happening beneath it. And to paraphrase, it said, this wave represents a push of evolution that is coming to the planet. It's going to wrap around the planet for 2011 and then anchor in at the very end of the year. And if you want to evolve more gracefully, learn to swim with it, learn to surf it. Don't resist. So then the wave turns on its side. So it looks like a big letter C, like the surfers would come through. And there was a byline with that. As the water moves away from the shore and anchors into the seabed, into the earth, to gain its power, its energy to create that crest, the physics of a wave, so should you, meaning me, but now meaning everybody, leave your book learning on the shore and go to the earth and the wisdom keepers of the earth for your knowledge, and mix it with this incoming push. And then instead of the water in the wave just falling back down into the ocean, it turned into this standing figure eight of flowing water. And I don't know if we're on video or not. I think
We are. We are.
So yeah, looks like that. It's upside down. There we go. And that was about 18 inches high and about 18 inches off the front of my face. And there was no byline with that, and it wouldn't go away. And so I walked around for about 3 days, aware that this thing was in front of me, and it got a little annoying. So I sat down with my dowsing rods and I said, "What the heck? What is this? And can it please go away?" And I'd been a dowser for almost 20 years at that point. And so I have a kind of a way of working with them that's a little off the beaten track. And essentially, they told me that this it's a symbol representing an extremely high frequency of love and compassion that we haven't had yet on the planet. It's not that it hasn't been around, but we haven't been able to access this yet. Because I understood Christianity, Christ's real teachings at about seventh dimensional. So anyway, this was 10th dimensional. And the idea was that in this watery flow, that love and compassion is inherent in it. It's not something separate. It's right there in the water. And we can use this symbol on ourselves to calm ourselves down, to open us to healing, to open our hearts, to think better, to connect our left and right hemisphere. There's 1,001 uses for this thing, but they were just telling me it's called you can call it the infinity wave. And the symbol itself represents something much bigger, much like any symbol. And then I said, "Well, okay, and what am I supposed to do with it?" And they said, "Well, you need to teach it to the world." And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And they said, "You said you were a willing vessel." So I was like, "Oh, I did." So thing is, I really wasn't comfortable, even though I'd been a performer and a producer and a director and a teacher and all many things standing in the front of the room. In my spiritual life, I was sitting in the back of the room, very quiet, under the radar. So they were telling me, and literally felt a foot in my back pushing me, that it's time. And so I said, well, you're going to have to help because I don't know what. And they said, okay, you need to create a workshop. So I'm dowsing all this. You need to create a workshop. And the workshop will be 3 weekends, one per month. And I said, what am I teaching? They said, stay tuned. So I had to pay money to rent the room, all this stuff. I was so terrified. What am I doing? I like to be a little buttoned up when it comes to what I teach. So I had to basically let go. I had to move into don't know mind, which turns out is the best place to be for evolving. And I had to take a leap of faith. And that doesn't sound like much, but I thought I already did have that level of faith. No, it's not until you really let go and jump off that cliff, hoping you'll be caught, that you can be caught. And I was caught. I sat down once a week with my friend, same friend, to douse. I'm like, what am I teaching? And these deep voices, slow voices, it come through me. And I took a scant view of channeling at that point. So it was quite the shocker to find this happening and these words coming out that were clearly not mine, and entire practices would drop in. And so I would get 3, and then I ran the workshop, quaking in my boots. And all the practices use the infinity wave. And the whole point of this 3-part workshop was to take an evolutionary leap. So they first got us used to being untethered from gravity, then untethered from time. And at the end of the 3-month course, I had 9 practices. And along the way, I didn't see the rhyme or reason for any of them. But when I got to the end and I looked back, I went, oh my God, this is a blueprint. If you want to take your next leap, here you go. It's right here. It was amazing. And the proof was in the pudding because the people utterly changed. And it wasn't just the high. I was scientifically, I'm looking at it going, is this a real thing or am I really crazy? But they fundamentally changed. People would come in about to get a divorce, stay married for years after. People come in, no work, all of a sudden work would come. Health, you name it, whatever their issue was, would resolve. But the biggest thing for me was to see the consistent level of an increased joy for living. That's what hit me really right in the heart. Because, we always feel good after a weekend. But when you keep it up, when that stays consistent over 3 months, now, okay, that's interesting. So I did 2 more like that. So basically taught from January through September. Some more practices came in. I was learning as we went, building the plane as I was flying, also subjected to this evolutionary leap. And I could feel myself changing. I At the end of the year in December, early December, this is how I knew that I really utterly changed. I accompanied a friend of mine to LA because she was having very serious, complicated surgery on her neck, bone, muscle, and nerve. So there were a bunch of doctors in there. And, any slip of anything, you're paralyzed. So it's really, anyway, I said, I'll be your advocate. And so we flew out there and miraculously got a 5-star hotel for about $100 a night. And it was like, all the things were what we call wavy. This is when we travel in the wave, good things happen. So got her all ready for surgery, and we're waiting for the anesthesiologist to come in. That's the last thing before she goes into the surgical room. And of course, she's nervous. She had studied how to do hypnosis before surgery. So she had written down on a piece of paper what she wanted the anesthesiologist to say. going in and coming out. And she had it on a beautiful Italian paper. Well, all of a sudden, the anesthesiologist finally comes in, and she's this middle-aged gal. She's wearing an unusual surgical cap. You know, they're usually green, and hers looked like a little mini pizza hat. It puffed out and had little red flecks on it. It was, very unusual. And she had a clipboard, and she walked behind around the bed. And so I was at the foot of the bed, and we were facing each other. She never looked at my friend, her patient. She never looked at me, which doesn't matter. But I saw that there was no connection. And then she just starts looking. She's at her on her clipboard, just rattling away. Well, we're working on the medicalese. I mean, the woman was frozen. She robotic. And I looked at my friend, and I could see her lips start to quiver because everything rided on this for her. And in the past, a year before, I would have done something like this. Oh, hey, you know what? My friend is so nervous about this, and I'm just maybe let's try to soften her up a little bit. I would have tried to, do something but that's not who I was anymore. Instead, I'm looking at her, no judgment, and that's the change. No judgment. I'm looking at her going, huh, I don't like this picture. I want a different one. And I said the words, I like your hat, very without any inflection. At the same time, out of my solar plexus is this pop. And her head flies up. She spins to face my friend and says, hey, babe, how are you doing? We are going to have such a good time today. I'm going to take such good care of you. What do you got for me? It looks like a recipe. It's on such beautiful paper. Oh, you want me to say this? I love to it. She did a 180 in less than a second. And both of our mouths, fell open because the change was so dramatic from frozen to chatty Cathy, and she did take care of my friend beautifully. So why I'm pointing that out is the way I just knew the ways that I was normally operating, I was no longer operating that way. The infinity wave had come out of my solar plexus at the intensity that was needed for that woman. I didn't say I intention for no. The infinity wave is an intelligence, and it knows what is needed in the moment. And it's very powerful when it needs to be. So I learned so much from that situation that I don't have to be so intentional all the time. Yes, but let's rely on this incredible energy and let it lead the way. Let it open the path. Let it inform us. And I'm telling you, that's when I knew I'd really, really changed.
Wow.
And then it went on from there.
Well, I know your story because your story is my story.
Ah,
I had my affinity wave. I mean, 16 years old, I went down the path, did everything that you said, sound therapist, understand that, I don't have crystal bowls, but I have Tibetan bells. I have tuning forks. I have all of this, and I've done a lot of things. And yes, it definitely increases your vibrational rate to that. If you're not ready, it can flatten you on your butt. That's what I do know about the sound, but it brings you up. And and I understand all that, but I think what got me when we had the conversation was that I saw that infinity wave in the middle of my living room. I was just standing there looking at the fireplace, and all of a sudden there's this massive tidal wave coming towards me, not rushing, not, tsunami kind of thing. It was like, whoa, this is huge. And I had no fear. I had nothing. It was because I interpreted it to be many different things, because water is your emotions. It could be money. It could be a lot of things. And I took it as well. And I took it as abundance because affinity and water can represent abundance as well. So I was like, wow, something's really big coming in. And I'm not afraid. And it was really, really close because this was last year when I actually saw this, like in the beginning of the year, I think it was. I believe that's when it was the beginning of the year. Last year was just, it was a year. It was a year. It was not a year I expected, but it was the year that my freedom came in too,
Mm,
because my father passed away and I went down a very dark rabbit hole and I am not that same person anymore. So
mm,
and I've opened and created a community that I never thought I would do. Cause like you, oh, I don't think so. I'm not doing that. Go find someone else. Even though I'm here to serve. Oh no, 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 not when it's comfortable. When it's uncomfortable, I don't want to do it because, I did everything behind the scenes. I did my best work being invisible. Well, I'm not allowed to be invisible anymore. I'm supposed to come out. And now I just sit here sometimes going, okay, I did it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I know what to do. I am doing it, but there's that part of our habitual side of our humanness that's like, I don't know what you want, so you're gonna have to, like, kinda push me along because I don't know if I wanna trust this yet.
mhm,
But I what I get, though, the most is that this affinity circle, ring, whatever you wanna call it, wave, it's been a part of my life my whole life. It's not something that's new to me. The wave was new, and when we connected and we talked about the wave, it was like, "Whoa, this is powerful," because it's all designed for this year. And I know that since the year started, because I ended up doing a job in Wyoming and my sciatica has been out ever since. Now it's gotten back, but I'm feeling it sitting in this chair. So it doesn't like this chair. But I'm thinking, why do I feel so groggy? And I think part of it is I'm getting used to whatever this new energy is. Like, this is not like an energy you come in and just, oh, it's the new year. Woohoo. It's like, no, this is like subtle, deep, profound, and I'm adjusting to it.
mhm,
Like, I'm having to level up to it because I'm like, "Why are you always feeling so tired?" I'm like, "But I'm not tired. I don't feel tired, but it's like calm,
mm,
very calm."
mm,
And I don't understand why I should feel that way, and yet I do know why I feel that way, but, when I with the stuff that I'm doing about talking about nervous system, that I have safety's been my word. This is the thing that I've always wanted for people is to feel safe. And since my father's death and really owning what that word meant to me, and I'm free to walk about the cabin. I'm no longer looking over my shoulder for a perpetrator. All of these things, it's like there's this like it's gone.
mm,
And I'm still adapting to that quietness, and what am I talking about? What it's like to feel safe, what it's like to be in alignment, what it's like to really trust that this is how life has always supposed to have been. And with you talking about the infinity wave, to me, it's the same thing because your friend's going in for, a surgery, and yet here you are just, okay, let's get this show on the road the way it needs to. And it just happened. And I'm noticing also through whatever that I processed, it's like how we process is so much different with this new energy wave coming in. Like, I'm not overreacting, I'm not operating my old way. Like,
mhm,
there's days when it's like what you said, I don't even know who I am anymore because this is so not familiar.
mhm.
So I would love for you to just go down a little bit more as far as where you see we're going or what this infinity wave means for the rest of us, because I'm in it, I'm feeling it, and I'm experiencing it. But what I'm feeling and experience is going to be so different for a lot of other people. And you've been doing this for what, the last 15, 16 years now. So I'm sure you've got a wealth of information to help people navigate because the shit's just starting to hit the fan. It hasn't hit yet, but it's coming and it's going to come. And I just keep going. It's okay. It's okay. Just breathe through it and keep bringing love into the planet. That's all I know to do right now is to trust that and be the beacon and way shower that I am to show people the way back home. Because I think people are going to be coming to light workers in groves real soon.
Definitely, definitely. And So I think that's why we were given it so long ago, so we could start to practice. And they told me to, I'm supposed to share it with the world. And I was living in rural Massachusetts next to a sheep farm. I was like, okay, I don't know how that's going to happen. But, little by little, and opportunities came, and then we were off to the races. So little did we know that we were dealing with little waves at that point. And then, of course, the big waves started to hit. And they've been growing ever since. What the idea is that, first of all, when we introduce high frequency love and compassion into our own fields, we develop a new relationship with ourselves. Most of us are not that good at receiving, especially the healers out there. And we're very good at giving. Mothers, very good at giving. I don't want to say fathers too, but it's there's a it's just kind of I don't know if it's in our DNA or socialization or both, but we when we introduce that infinity wave, that love and compassion, and we are willing to accept it, infinite love, infinite compassion into our beings, it starts to change us because we move into self-acceptance. And when we move into self-acceptance, we move into vulnerability. And when we're able to be vulnerable with one another, that's that's where all the intimacy, that's where the juice is, that's where the beauty, that's where love enters. And so, the wave is here first and foremost for each one of us. Now, I don't know about you, but I have clients all the time with stories that are really tough, things they're up against. See, if the wave is here to help us with those evolutionary pushes, because all of those crunchy, difficult times I call peduncles. It's a word I learned at Findhorn. It's a French word, peduncle, and it means it's a biology term where the stem of a flower meets the flower. So you're going one way and then you open out. And there's a fundamental shift that happens in a peduncle. You get squeezed and then you open. So you can actually see that in the wave as a peduncle's in the middle, right? And you have expansion and contraction. Going through the tough part, expansion and contraction. Oh, another peduncle. And I can douse for people where they are on their journey. Are you just coming out of a peduncle or are you going into one? And uh, but these peduncles, these squeeze points are meant to do what the butterfly does with its chrysalis. It has to work it off. If you help the butterfly off, it does not fly. It has to develop its muscles to get itself ready to fly. So each of these struggles is something that we lined up before we came in. But the wave can help us so that it's not so hard. And we have programmed into us the idea that change takes a long time and is very painful. Well, we don't have time anymore. We used to be able to go to a cave or an ashram for 3 years and do all that. We don't have that kind of time anymore. Everything is speeding up. So we need something that is quick. And I can tell you, I gave that demonstration of, when the wave popped over that anesthesiologist, she shifted nanosecond. And that's what that's what happens with me. If I'm in traffic and I'm starting to get annoyed or blah, 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 I'll run the wave on myself first and I'll calm right down. And then I wave the traffic, and it starts to move. And babies get quiet on an airplane, like there's so many applications that I call the daily wave, how you can use it in daily life. And then there's the evolutionary leap wave, which is what I was talking about earlier. So it calms our nervous systems down Because when we're operating from a place of love and compassion, we're no longer really tied to 3D. We have access now. You take 10th dimensional, you put it into 3D. Well, now you're going to have some reaction. You're not going to stay down here. You're going to have access to something else. And we don't have to define what it is, but conversations are going to go better. You're going to feel better about the words you use. Ideas come in. Your guides can talk to you, and you have access to things that maybe you didn't have before. So the other thing is that, to go through a peduncle is easier if we're in that flow state, if we're willing, if we're not resisting. I don't want to move. I don't want a new job. I don't want to blah, 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 fill in the blank. If instead we don't resist, we say, boy, this doesn't look good to me. Like this doesn't look like maybe what I thought I wanted, but I'm going to trust and I'm going to wave and I'm going to love myself through it. Then usually something really great happens. And it's happened. I've seen it over and over and over.
I know when my father passed, it was, to me, it was a very complicated time. And that's what I kept saying, because there was such a wave of emotions that I couldn't even filter. It was like everything from my whole life popped up, right? And I just said it's complicated because I couldn't even shift through what I was feeling at that moment. And then within 6 weeks, I mean, it was depression, it was suicidal tendencies, it was all the things, because this is all old trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it at 16, I felt it when my mother died, and I felt it when my father died, because I was feeling them. I was releasing their trauma during their death experiences as well. And I understand that now. I didn't understand it then. Then I'm on, I am doing a book launch for Anthology, which what is on the cover? The Infinity Wave, okay? My father dies the day before the book went to publication in April. Everything happened in September, like 9998, 97, all of these really big numbers when the book launched, when we hit number 1. And the month before, a co-author said, let's do a podcast. Well, at that moment, I'm like, I'll get back with you on that, because I've learned not to jump into anything. And I woke up the next morning and I said, okay, and we're going to do this, 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 and this. And she just went, huh? Okay. Because Spirit told me what we were going to do. And it was beautiful. This podcast, what we did for 4 weeks on this book launch was absolutely amazing. So I led the first 2, she did all the talking, and then it came to my side, and Spirit said, she's leading the podcast. And she's like, what? I tell her this 5 minutes before. I said, this is what I was told. You want to have your own podcast. You're going to lead and guide this podcast. This is my turn to talk. And what did I do? I cried. I cried the whole time for the last 2, because it's my father, right? But what was interesting about that vulnerability was, as I'm crying and being angry of he doesn't deserve my tears, and Spirit is saying, these aren't tears for him, they're for you and your healing. And it was like the messages that came in, because to me, that was an opportunity where the wave was working and not noticing but not giving it credit, because what did I know yet? I'm just in like this tsunami of emotions. And as I started healing, they all come up and they're just like these black phantoms leaving my body as I move through it. That's what it felt like. But I think the whole point is that I trusted and I navigated this way faster than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Because within, what was it? It was July 15th. I had lost the show because the network went bankrupt. And I was like, nobody wants me. Nobody cares. Why should I live? I mean, it was like this really intense depth of pain and suffering that I didn't even know that even existed. And yet here I am. And then for some reason, and I'm navigating, I'm still moving forward. Whatever it is, I'm going to keep moving forward. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to keep moving forward. And I just put my head down to do this. And I remember it was July 15th, and I saw the tiniest, and I mean the tiniest little dot of light. And I aimed for that. And it was amazing how fast momentum picked up from that moment, because my show came back up. Then I'm doing 3 podcasts a week because I got involved in another one for aromatherapy. I mean, it was just like, it was just poof. And when I was on the stage, when we did the book launch, it was, what would you tell your avatar? And I said, you have to reach, you have to ask for help, and you have to reach me. I can't find you because you are so invisible. And I understand invisibility because that's what I was. I said, all I can do is be the lighthouse, but you have to reach. And if you're there, I'll grab you. And at that moment, knowingness came in, love came in, joy came in, happiness came in. Things that were always words were now embedded, so that
Mm.
it was no longer believing. And I hope it was a knowingness, like how you introduced the show with, is that I always wanted to know. And now I do. And it's really hard when you know that nobody can sway you because you know. And you know what I mean? I mean, there is just like, it's like boundaries, all of that, all these words that were like, no, they're non-existent because I know who
Yeah.
I am. And if it was the wave that was contributing to this, bless that wave, because this sense of empowerment that you receive,
Mhm.
if somebody doesn't like me, it's like, I didn't invite you in, there's the door, and don't let it kick you in the butt on the way out, because I don't care, because I don't deserve that. And it's like, I know I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That knowingness is so profound, and just the things that you're talking about, I can feel that from what you're saying of what this infinity wave does. So how could people get to know you better, find you, or whatever? I know we got still 10 minutes, but this is so powerful for people to really be able to understand, that are searching, because I have a community where people can come and reach. But if they need something a little extra, maybe to understand that, I mean, I understand it, but this is still about the wave, and it's still something new for the world to get. So how would people be able to learn more about you, where to go, what you offer, that kind of thing?
Okay,
Just
well,
keep
thank you.
sharing a few more stories.
Okay, my website and YouTube and, Facebook, all the things are the same. Spread Infinite Hope.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. My husband has always said, "We gotta use your name in all these things," and I'm like, "No, don't use my name." So then I figured out I could do it this way, because it's not just my job to spread infinite hope, it's everybody's job. So, anyway, that's
What a beautiful name, Hope, and here you are spreading hope. I love it. I absolutely love it. Boy, if that wasn't planned.
yeah, right. And I was born on the first day of spring, so hope
Oh,
springs.
wow.
I don't know, my mother, she had already planned years before that if she ever had a daughter, she would name her Hope. Anyway, so yeah, spread infinite hope is how to get in to me, and I offer a lot of things. Always Monday nights, I offer things and meditations, channeled stuff, blah blah blah, astrology uh, for the month. I have a variety of things, and yeah, so I'd love to, and I do dowsing sessions for people. Um, I the good thing is that because I am now comfortably a channel, when I start to douse for somebody, I start to hear words and phrases and see things. And so we're not completely confined to yes and no. So I figured out ways to really go quickly to the nugget of the problem. And then I get this direction about what would solve the problem and all of that. So we get, like, in half an hour, you can turn somebody's life around. And I don't really take full credit for that. I'm totally assisted. So it's just, I try to deliver it well. That's all.
Right, I get that, because I've noticed lately with me, because I hear things, so I do readings on people without even doing readings on people. And there are times where I just get this like almost dogmatic about, this is really important. And it's like, I understand that you're a control freak, and I understand this about you, and I understand this, but I'm telling you, this is what needs to get done, kind of thing. And it's like, oh, and I'm thinking, why are you doing this? Well, it's because some of these people that I'm having to speak like that are like so tunnel vision and I'm right and I'm this and I know what I'm doing. And it's like, no, actually, you don't know what you're doing because I, I mean, because I know this about myself. And because I have woken up and I'm hearing and they're like really pounding it in that I need to do that. So I trust that. I don't necessarily like the way I deliver, but you know what? It's effective and it gets it they stop. They actually stop because they're like, "Why are you doing this?" And it's like, I'm not doing this. It's like you should hear what they're doing in my head. Because what's in my head and what I'm delivering are two different things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sugarcoating this, believe it or not.
I know, believe it or not, I really am trying to get, like, make this so I'm not because I don't want to infringe on
Right.
your right of free will and free choice. But if there's a message that is so critical and the message she's bringing to the world, this was so critical that she listened to me on it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me she was listening to, it was somebody else who was trying
Right.
to get it because she's like, it's going to be just like this. And I'm like, oh my God, that is not a good place to be.
Well, remember at the beginning I talked about don't know mind? And really that if we could all cultivate that comfortably, we would all be evolving all the time. I had a client who's a teacher, and it's the metaphor of a shelves lined with books came to mind. I was thinking, when you've got so many books on the shelf in your mind, there's no room for a new one. When you turn yourself into comfort with limbo, comfort with not knowing, all of a sudden, lots of books fly off the shelf, leaving space for something new. But if we're so busy hanging on to the things we know, it's I feel like so unburdened by being able to not know. I don't know. And we're so conditioned to know things and be, in charge of our thinking and understanding and da 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 da. Da. No, no, that only get us so far.
It
If
does only get us so far, and I agree with that because I've done all the books and all that, and I had a friend 20 years ago, like, "Well, you're so spiritual, why aren't you doing it?" It's like, because at that point, I was so angry about a lot of things, but it was like, it's all bullshit to me. To me, at that moment, there was a time because I had to find my truth within what I was reading. I can't be picking out this guy over here and this woman over here and parroting. I had to know. And so I was in that struggle of eliminating the books and what's my truth within it. And that was the beginning of my journey 20 some years ago. Yes, I was angry, but I also wanted to know and believe. I wanted to know that. And
yeah,
so we have to forgive ourselves. We have to be patient with ourselves. We want to be 7-Eleven and the microwave is too slow, but we are not those kind of people. We are humans. We take time. And gentleness is the biggest thing that I think because being the drill sergeant never got me anywhere. And I know that with this world and people like just push through it, just push through it. Sometimes you just need to ease through it.
yeah, yeah,
Just sit with it and love you in it. It's okay if you want to be a couch potato for a weekend and do marathon whatever. Who cares? The only one judging you is you.
yeah. True enough.
Because sometimes we just need to stop because we are on so much information overload. And that's what I love about this infinity wave is because it's almost like it gives us permission
Mhm.
to just stop moving and just allow it to flow in like water. It
Mhm.
ebbs and flows and just get into the rhythm of that
Yes,
because it's water.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And the geometry is already powerful. Figure eight, the lemniscate, whatever. It's so powerful, and it can change things all by itself. When you add in the frequency of water and the consciousness of water, which we're still learning about, but I went into a deep dive with the water aspect because when I was trying to understand why is it watery, then I got into Dr. Emoto, and then I, later on, much later on, Veda Austin's work. But I had already come to the conclusion that it was completely conscious and would speak to me, and it did. And so the water, the Dr. Emoto came this close in his books to saying water is God, but
Mm.
he did say it. I heard him on a podcast or a interview at some point. He did say it, and I, because I knew that's what he was getting at, but he couldn't put it down in words. It's just a little too out there, because back then nobody was thinking about water at all, and he really was responsible for making us think differently. So if God is in the consciousness of water, which I think it is, and you put that in that geometry that never ends, never ends, and it moves and it bends and it weaves, and you will always find a fresh start. You will always find something new, and so the combination is so powerful. It's so powerful. And I mean, number one, today, people are extremely anxious because they can feel that something's going to happen, that we are in the middle of the biggest peduncle of all. We, our planet is in a massive peduncle. And so it's kind of like this expectation, and it's in the air, it's just there. And then, that anxiety gets sort of, it comes out if you have a political feeling this way or a political feeling that way, or whatever, pick a topic, and then that anxiety comes out as some kind of control thing. Well, I'm not going to do, and we become rigidified. That's not going to, that's only the duality struggle back and forth. When we introduce the infinity wave, when we introduce that 10th dimensional frequency, we bounce out of 3D, and now we're much more malleable. And as that malleable person, we have less judgment. We don't have the need to get into that dualistic struggle. And we actually get calmer. Like you said, we get calm, and we can enjoy life even though things are kind of kooky all around us. And the thing to remember is that, I mean, this wave, I it said to me, it's a loving gift from the universe to help us through these times. It's so beautiful, and it's so fast that really, if we just kind of adopt it on a daily basis, everything will go better. And we'll have, more importantly, we will have a better mindset. And what you said, I say it all the time, be the beacon. The most important thing we can do is maintain our beaconhood, be those lighthouses, and whatever it takes. So if we start to feel ourselves going down into the dumps because I just heard this news or that news or whatever it is, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. Get yourself back into that position of beaming light. The wave can do that, other things can do that, but you can put it head to toe and wrap it. It can be any size. And you could communicate with the sun, the moon, the earth, animals, trees, whatever, with the wave. But I love when it's wrapped from head to toe because I'm held in the wave, and that's what keeps me strong. I'm held in love and compassion. So I'm going to be there for beaming light. I mean, it just, they just go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, I remember years ago, and then we'll close the show, but I remember years ago, um, things were changing on the planet. We were going up evolutionary, and most of us were hanging on the side of the river with white knuckles and everything because the white waters are going to kill us and drown us, right? And how many times was I told, and all of us were told, let go, let go.
That's
And
it.
you're going, but I'm going to die, I'm going to drown because it's white water, right? And I remember the day that I let go. And this had to be in the 80s or 90s, somewhere in that vicinity. And I let go. And what did I do? I bobbed.
There
Uh,
you go.
I bobbed.
There you go.
No, I mean, so it's when we hold on and resist is where the pain and the struggle is.
Yeah.
And it is an act of God to let go when you know you're going to die and then discover you're not.
Exactly.
But that's what you said, how you entered opened the show with too, is you know. When you know, and it sounds trivial, like, "Well, I just had to let go." Well, we all know what that means when we have to let go. We
Right.
are in crisis mode when we're hanging on, and to trust beyond trust when there's no evidence to prove it, but that's what you gotta do to become that beacon of light, because the more you do it, the easier it gets, the higher your vibrational frequency goes.
That's
And then
exactly.
you start attracting more people towards you instead of all the icky stuff that's been around you. And that's the gift that you're bringing. That's the gift that I'm bringing, is that we have a lifetime of personal war battle scars, so to
Mhm,
speak,
mhm,
to know that this is truth.
mhm.
So with that, I thank you so much, Hope, for being here with us today. I really enjoyed our conversation. And everyone, please feel free to reach out to her. I think she's got a wealth of information that could really help and support you on your journey. I also have school.com/ I am the light sanctuary. Come check me out. It's free to join. And you can start coming around people that are like us, that are having conversations, that are needing the help and the support. So you can navigate these rough waters that are coming up, because even for us, these waters are there for us as well. But we're choosing to do things differently, and we're willing to show you how to do that. So I will thank you again for joining me. If you found any value, please like and subscribe to the show, or give the link to someone who may need this. And I will see you all next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a fabulous week.